We run a neighbourhood hub from our office. We open our office is always open to everyone, but once a month we invite partners in around health, around addiction and mental health, and those kind of strands, because where we are in Moseley and as a social landlord, we will encounter those sort of issues, and we want to support people who want that support and need that support. So we run a hub. We will allow people to come into that hub, and if they just want a cup of tea, we'll do that. If they're new to the area, they want to know the bus service, we'll do that. But if they're being threatened of being homeless from a private landlord, or if they've got a mental health issue or an addiction issue, we'll try and help them with that as well. So it's a very much an open house approach. As part of that, we invited for a one-off event in summer, and of course it rained, but a one-off event in summer. We just networked partners who didn't seem to really understand what similar organisations were doing in the same areas. And we thought it was really important to get them to meet and talk, because collaboration is really important. They're going to have often the same aims, the same ideals, and often the same client group. So if they start talking together, they might save each other a little bit of time. They might be able to get to people quicker, and they might be able to resolve issues quicker. So we brought together over 20 agencies, 20 health-related agencies came here, and we had an awful lot of service users who were invited, who turned up, and it had a great atmosphere. So you had initially the Moseley Strategic Partnership for a long time, and that's been going for a long time. And I think it's kind of changed slightly over the years, back and forth really, as to its membership and to its influence as well, consequently as the membership changes. So the Balsall Heath one would involve local councillors, housing professionals at management or above level, the local forum obviously, and others. So the police, preferably sergeant or above. So it would have a number of people who would have at least some influence over important organisations who operate in the area, and it would meet, and it would discuss hotspot issues. It would discuss local issues, and it would try and divert interest into something local that could do with improving in its simplest. There's a tier beneath that, which is a kind of local, kind of for a housing officer level, and they get the word off the street, and that's fed into the strategic partnership so that they can consider what resources they've got to give back down. So it's a bit kind of comes from the bottom, goes up and comes back down again situation. You have Spark Hill next door, and as we know, they're a ward, Sparkbrook rather, and Balsall Heath are one ward. So it was decided that perhaps they should get together, and there was a number of people in Sparkbrook looking at Balsall Heath and what they'd been doing, and would quite like to do some of that stuff. So the strategic neighbourhood partnership seemed like a good idea at the time, by the people who run it, to spread over both of those, but both sides of the Stratford Road, if you like, in Birmingham. So they've got together. So now you have a very similar setup. You have perhaps more councillors and a few more people because you're covering a bigger area, but essentially it's the same thing. So through that partnership, next week in August 2016, a fair amount, I have to say, a heartening amount of professionals are going out to a part of Balsall Heath. It's been chosen for this one. It was Sparkbrook, I believe, last time. And there's going to be a lot going on for a day event where residents will be spoke to, doors knocked on about what they like, what they don't like about the area, but also there'll be fun and games in the parks. It's the summer holidays, and each organisation will bring something to that party, and it will just be a way of going to an area that perhaps, as it's been suggested, has felt a little neglected. There's not a lot going on there. So through the Strategic Neighbourhood Partnership, this is the latest project, is to go to these sets of roads in this park and to focus there for a big event and to see what comes out of that. And whatever comes out of that door knocking and those conversations will go back then, and then it can be discussed again to see if further stuff is required or requested. So again, another Another way of kind of doing community engagement. Another way perhaps of finding issues, but also just giving something to an area as a one hit if there aren't ongoing issues. And that's what it does. It's often a case that it's those roads that straddle the border that tend to get ignored by police and others. It's also the same for councils and stuff, it's on the border. It would be a good experiment if you could drive round and work out where the border is by the litter.